Thank you for auditing the always positive new music review show hosted by a French professor who will eventually get to a review of the album Spiderr by Bladee. I know, it's pronounced Blade, it's pronounced Spiderr. I'm a goofball. But before I get to the proper review, which if you want to skip to, you can look in the description. I'll get you right to the review. I want to do a public service. You see, if you're watching this, most likely you're under the age of 30. Most likely you're under the age of 25. And most likely you are a passionate fan of Bladee, of the Drain Gang, of this movement of quasi hip-hop, sound trap, cloud trap music that comes out of Sweden. And also, you probably feel misunderstood. You probably have a hard time explaining to other people what is it that you like, and you especially have trouble explaining this to older people like me. So my public service is I'm going to explain to your parents what's the deal with Bladee. Why do your kids love it so much? So go get your parents. Doesn't matter, one of them, both of them. You know, maybe you have 3 parents. Who knows? And show them this video. Okay? So I'm going to get started. Hi, my name is Professor Sky, and I review music on YouTube. I'm probably around your age. I'm in between 45 and 55, and I'm going to guess that's probably where you are because you have a kid who is interested enough in the music of Bladee to try to share this with you. First of all, congratulations. You have a child who feels close enough to you that they want to share their passion with you. And as you know, undoubtedly, the easiest way to connect with young people is to take their passions seriously. So you've taken that first step. But what is the deal with this music? I'm sure they've played it for you. And I'm going to take a guess that your reaction is going to be one of 3 things, or a combination of 3 things. This music is too hard, this music is too soft, and this music is too weird. So let me talk you through Bladee. Now, first of all, a little bit of sort of biographical stuff. He's from Sweden, so some of his English might be a little bit strange sounding. He's part of a general movement of music that is kind of like rap music, but not quite. Like, it uses a lot of the trappings of rap music, like trap drum beats, rhymes, and speaking. But at the same time, his music and the music of his collective, which is called the Drain Gang, which is why your kid probably calls himself a drainer, it's not really proper rap either. It's sort of this weird mixture of things, okay? So you might think that it's too hard because you hear some of the tunes and there's a lot of like hard cutting synthesizers and lots of layers and kind of upbeat aggressivity. Or maybe you think it's too soft. That's what I thought when I first heard it, because I grew up listening to Public Enemy and NWA and Wu-Tang Clan, and I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this. I legitimately compared their music to the Teletubbies. And I did that as a compliment. Because the reality about the Drain Gang, about Bladee, I call him Bladee, is that they're very soft. If you have a drainer as a son or a daughter, and you think that they are not vulnerable or sweet, you're probably incorrect. Because there's a real emotional honesty and emotional longing in this music, which is hard to access when you first hear it and you're kind of repulsed. I was totally repulsed by this music when I first heard it. I now legitimately like it, but when I first heard it, I was like, gah. But when you really listen to the lyrics and you listen to the position that Bladee puts himself, he talks with this longing, this search for love, for connection, for honesty. He speaks with a kind of mystical religiosity, but like truly like mystical, like this sort of search for the divine is really inherent in his music. He comes across as moral and kind. Now, if you ever find it hard, you know, if you see your kid and they're like, I'm a drainer, and you're like, draining, that doesn't sound good. Or if it sounds too aggressive to you, you know, that's part of youth culture. It's part of the catharsis of tough music. So maybe you grew up listening to Led Zeppelin or Wu-Tang Clan, you know, a couple good examples. And to you, that was what good, hard music was. This is this weird music, which is simultaneously Sort of too hard to be soft and too soft to be hard. Fundamentally, what this music does and what it is, as far as I can tell, because it engenders very, very dedicated fans. If you're watching this, it's because you have a son or daughter who has been pestering me since this album came out. Sky, you gotta review this. Sky, you gotta review this. His fans are so dedicated. But what Bladee appears to be doing for your kids is nurturing them. What? Your kids are listening to music that's nurturing? That can't be. I didn't listen to Nirvana because it nurtured me when I was a kid. It's because it expressed my rage, right? So I don't think it's necessarily a failure of parenting on your part if your kids go to music for nurturing, you know? I mean, if you're watching this, it means you've already succeeded as a parent on some level. Give yourself a high five and a couple M&Ms. But like, society is loud. Society is cruel. If your kids are drainers, it is also a high probability that they spend a lot of their life online. The fandom of Bladee is very, very online. And when you're in online circles, you're filled with trolls, you're filled with hate, you're filled with just all these monetized anger everywhere. This music, and the reason that I compared it to Teletubbies, and later on in this review, I'm actually going to compare Bladee to Mr. Rogers. I think he's much closer to Mr. Rogers than he is to Freddie Mercury or Eazy-E. They need this softness. And maybe you didn't need this softness as a kid. I don't know. But I can tell you these kids do. I can tell you from doing this channel for almost 5 years now that a lot of the stuff that I don't understand about young people, if you reduce it to they need something soothing and nurturing, they need vibes to relax and calm down with all of this unbelievable amount of input into their eyes, ears, and mouth, and everything, just constant sensory overload, this is the music that soothes that. Too weird. Is Bladee too weird? I get it. It's part of what makes his music interesting and so engaging is that it's otherworldly. The production style, there's a whole group of producers who make this music. I think they're almost all out of Stockholm, maybe some out of Gothenburg, all different parts of Sweden. But it's very synthesizer-based, very layered, mixed in with this weird religiosity. It has a very otherworldly effect. It's not supposed to be sort of hard hitting. It's not supposed to be, it doesn't do what a lot of music is supposed to do. It really does create what the kids call a vibe. And hey, if you haven't talked to your kids about vibe, ask your kids, what does vibe mean to you? It's a very important word to these kids. Also, part of the reason it sounds so weird to you is because it's Swedish. And they are Swedish. And their English is good, but not as good as most Swedes that I know. So sometimes their phrasing gets a little bit odd, their accent's a little bit odd. It is worth mentioning that if your kids are highly online, the online space has a lot of ethno-nationalist Swedes. And it's a bad thing, okay? There's a lot of either like straight up Nazis or quasi-Nazis who come from Sweden, and it's a real problem. So part of what makes the Drain Gang and Bladee so interesting is that they go against this image of a ethnically homogenous Sweden. Okay, Blade's real name is Benjamin Reichwald. The producer of this album is White Armor, whose actual name is Ludwig Rosenberg. It's worth mentioning that the Anti-Defamation League ranks Sweden as among the least anti-Semitic countries in the world. So maybe we can see that by this very interesting production by people who are a very small minority in Sweden. I looked it up, something around, you're not actually allowed to say what ethnicity you are, like in the Swedish census. They have that separation of church and state, which should exist in all countries. But it's approximated around 20,000 Jewish people live in Sweden. They are very, very well represented in music. So there you go. Is Bladee too weird, too hard, too soft? Yes. But I will tell you something, which is the thing that has been said since the mid-'60s. The kids are all right. Your kids are okay. There is some music that if your kids listen to it, I'd be a little bit worried, okay? Or it can kind of break either way. But if your kid's really into Bladee, they probably want a hug. They probably want more hugs than they act like they want. They probably want you to talk to them about their life a little bit more than you might think. because they're searching for this nurturing and this caring. And now you can join in and be a member of the Drain Gang. And if you want to like the music, you have to listen to it over and over and over again. You have to listen to it because at the beginning, you're going to go, I don't like this. I don't like it. I hate it. This is garbage. Second time, you're going to be like, yeah, okay. Third time, you're going to sort of get it. Fourth time, you're going to get these little tiny melodies, these weird, quirky ways of phrasing things stuck in your head. And you might find yourself, like myself, a drainer over the age of 30. One of the rarest minorities in the musical sphere. Okay, I'm done now. You can send your parents away. Or your parents can watch the rest of this if they want. I'm going to continue my review by talking about, I listened to this in the car with my son, my teenage son. And he's into hip-hop, he's into rap music. And it's interesting because he's like, is this even rap? He's like, can we even call this rap? And it is true. It is one of the most confusing things. I mean, if you look up what genre is Bladee, I found ambient, trap, progressive electronic, vaporwave, cloud trap, cloud rap, vapor trap, bubblegum bass, future bass, all these weird things. I think this is part of what makes it so challenging and interesting is this effacement of meaning, like of genre. Another thing that my son said is, if you say you're a Bladee fan, well, he said Blade. I'm sorry, I call him Bladee. I think it's funny, okay? I know it's pissing you off if you're a Drain Gang. But listen, I just helped you out with your parents, okay? I just did like a whole bunch of family therapy for you. So I get to call him Bladee. Bladee makes me think of Jerry Lewis. Ask your parents who Jerry Lewis is. Or grandparents. Like if you say you're a Bladee fan, it really does mean something. That's what he said. Like in the high school musical ecosystem, it means something. And I said, what does it mean? And he said, I don't know. There is a real journey to this music, which I discussed in my previous review of the album, the Echo 2K, the confusion, repulsion, acceptance, and love. And it happened again. I listened to this album. I'm like, well, I didn't mind that one with Echo 2K, but this one is garbage. This one is no good. Like the same thing happened over and over again. There is, at some point, I'm going to, probably the next project from Drain Gang that I review, I'm going to do some kind of study into what does it say about young whiteness, this music. Because white rappers always say a lot about young whiteness. The Beastie Boys said a lot about my generation. Eminem said a lot about the generation that followed. There is something here to be studied. But I'm not going to get into that now. But please subscribe if you want to see when I eventually talk about that. And smash the like bucket. Did you see that thing I said to your parents? Damn, I wish someone did that for me. Like when I was in high school, someone sat down and explained to my parents, why does your son love the Wu-Tang Clan? I couldn't explain it. It's because they are nothing to F with. Because they tell you how to protect your neck. And Kung Fu, So, smash that like bucket, subscribe, all that stuff. And it's funny because, with a name like Blade, blades are edgy. I mean, they're edgy. I mean, they have an edge on them. They cut you. And Spiderr. A spider is edgy. It's venomous, poisonous, gonna kill you. And on the cover, he's there and he's all muscly and painted and holding onto a big spider with a clutch of eggs. The word truth written in Hebrew across his forehead. According to Lyric Genius, I hope that's true. And you might think he is the biggest edgelord. The edge of the blade. I have a collection of swords that will rival a samurai himself. I can do karate in 3 languages. Spiderr. The truth. And this is what I hinted at when talking to your parents. Is he is the opposite of an edgelord. He is an edgeless lord. He's a soft king. Can we call him a soft king? Can I get that going? With the clarity that I mean this kindly, I mean this in a nice way. That's what fascinates me about this music, is truly how soft it is. The fact that he feels so nurturing, like Mr. Rogers, or like Bob Ross. And let's be clear on something. I am nurturing. That's an intentional thing that I do on my channel when I talk. That's part of the reason I try not to get negative on here. Is I want to be nurturing. I do look up to communicators like Bob Ross and Carl Sagan. Like there is something to projecting kindness. But what's so cool about Bladee is that he projects kindness in this place. And I understand that he came up with Young Lean and that Young Lean and he are often said in the same breath. But Young Lean has such a different perspective, such a different approach, such a different way of talking about himself. That there you feel a fair amount of edgelordy. Look at these drugs I'm doing. Where here with Bladee, we just really get the sense of a nice young man who's making interesting music. So, let me give you an example of this music, of what I think is the best song on the album. You can click above the banana right there, the song called Dresden ER. Now, when it was called Dresden, already I was thinking, oh, this is going to be edgy, Dresden, which is a city in Germany, which is most famous for being bombed in World War II, which, if you look at the statistics, was like worse than Hiroshima in terms of the number of people that were killed. I'm not sure about that. Please look that up, okay? My son's going to be so pissed if he sees this. He's like, Dad, how did you not know? But it's on par, okay? Just terrible, terrible firebombing. So I thought this was going to be about that. It's not. I just suspect that he wrote this in the emergency room in Dresden. I don't know. But this is a perfect example of that sweet, sweet sound of Bladee. Bells and phaser effects and snapping on the 1, 2, 3, 4 until right before he starts rapping where it becomes 1, 2, 3, 4. Swirling sounds. His voice is kind of auto-tuned, but the way he auto-tunes is he hovers around one note. He always goes and around the same note, and that's he goes and he goes and he goes the same note, and it doesn't go up. It's just, at times it builds and builds with layers, and at times those layers drop out. Like the chorus, this bass drops out and then drops in the second half. A super sweet post chorus, like this bridge of just saying the word sweet over and over again. I'm telling you, this guy is a total teddy bear. Absolute teddy bear. I don't care how many spiders or six packs he has. This guy is a teddy bear. A very cool instrumental bit all the way throughout this album. White Armor's production has these really cool tricks with this weird sort of I called it smooshed up sounds. And then it cuts back and repeats the beginning sound. And this is the whole thing, and it's a whole vibe. It's a whole headspace, these layers of sounds and these words. If you actually listen to some of the musicianship, it's very dense and complicated. The drum line the actual drum line's very busy. But the rest of the music is so calm that you don't even notice how busy that drum line is. Now let's talk about the lyrics. So I made reference to this when I was talking to your folks. Say hi for me, by the way. Mysticism. I think that's the most important way to understand his music or his spiritual position. So the word mystic is thrown around a lot, but it actually has a definition. A mystic is a religious designation. And it doesn't belong to any particular faith. You can be a Jewish mystic or a Christian mystic or a Muslim mystic, okay? This is the definition that I found online that is legitimately the best definition. The first definition you find online is the best definition I found. I looked. A person who seeks by contemplation and self-surrender to obtain unity with or absorption into the deity or the absolute, or who believes in the spiritual apprehension of truths that are beyond the intellect. So this sort of general transcendence appears to be the thing that he is looking for in his music. And the most important thing in terms of being a mystic and mysticism is a religious search that isn't based on other people's precepts and beliefs, but that's based on your own search, your own contemplation. That's what makes mysticism so alluring, because you don't have to think, what does the Pope say? What does the Pope say? You don't have to think, Jesus Christ, did I say that? I gotta edit my videos. What does the Pope say? It's funny. Okay, I'm happy I said it. You don't have to worry about what the Pope says, or the Bible, or the Quran, or the Torah. It's this personal journey to find some kind of transcendence. I referred to Bladee as a cult leader before, and it's sort of in that same realm. His spirituality is vague, it is not very clearly defined, but at the same time, it's clear that he's on this search, and he's taking you with him. And the more you're into his music, the more you're into his words, the more you are with him on this search. And to his credit, what I think he's looking for is some kind of intimacy, some kind of belief in the divine, nothing specific, nothing that's going to end with him asking you for money. And it's seen all the way throughout these lyrics. I'm going to read you the whole lyrics. Something for the soul, secret art of saying no. At the top and down below, it's the Star of David. So at first, I was like, okay, interesting, right? So he's talking about the Star of David, which of course is one of the primary symbols of Judaism. And so he seems to be making reference there. We have the Hebrew on his head and that whole thing as well. Life is but a joke and it's funny, don't you know? So, something for the soul, the secret art of saying no, all these weird kind of mystical thoughts, and as above, so below, and the Star of David. Life is but a joke and it's funny, don't you know? It's deep, but it's not clear. Honey, something's just for show, something's really crazy. Pop out like a pro, D9, we're going to take control. We're the structure, we on the go, we go all the way. You hit all the notes in the piano of gold. So here he kind of breaks into, just talking about how great the Drain Gang is. I think that's what D9 means. Y'all can tell me what D9 means. Watch two stars align at the same time. Angels sing the most beautiful sounds. Watch the noise die down and reveal signs. Golden light shines down. Golden light shines down. This really has very strong mystical vibes to it. And I like it. And I think it's cool. And at the same time, we have the great, simple, catchy melody going all the way throughout. That cool, twisted lead line that comes in and out. That makes this kind of song that the first time I heard it, I hated it. Second time, I thought it was okay. Third time, I thought it was good. And now, once this video's done, I'm going to put Dresden ER back on again. Okay, I'm going to go back through the album much quicker. And we'll sip you can also go to spring.com and get a mug for your parents. Say, hey, remember that time we watched that video together and you understood my music better and now we get along better together? This is the mug of the guy so you can drink coffee. And make your parents coffee too. Learn how they like it and make it for them. That's like a super good parent hack. First track is called Understatement. Starts with a kind of sound. The weirdness of his English. To say I feel some kind of way would be an understatement. It's like, okay, I don't quite get what that means. But cool kind of guitar sounds, dirty synthesizers in the back, sort of this light trap production. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. F the world, what, gravity very up, won the World Cup. No, you didn't. Sweden's never won the World Cup. Sweden never won the World Cup. I don't know what that means. Maybe it's sort of like the Drain Gang won the World Cup, which personally, I think if the Drain Gang went out on the pitch, they would do better than the Swedish national team. Oh, burn. Keep this little secret in your mind. Final destination is the sky. Caterpillar dreamt that it could fly. This is that kind of Mr. Rogers stuff I'm talking about, okay? When I say he's the opposite of an edgelord, singing about a caterpillar that dreamed it could fly, because can a caterpillar fly? Yes, it can. It must just simply wait. The very hungry caterpillar. Okay? That's what he's saying. Isn't it nice? Isn't it nice that we can just appreciate the sweetness? Sweet, 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 sweet. Next song is called It's Okay Not to Be Okay. Hey! If your parents are still around, this is what I'm talking about. Somebody telling your kids it's okay not to be okay. The world never tells us it's okay not to be okay. The world tells us we have to be okay. We have to struggle, fight, grind set, sigma. Okay? It's okay not to be okay. There is never enough people telling young people it's okay not to be okay. You know? You have these young kids, right? I'm talking to parents again. You have these young kids. I have young kids. Their moods go up and down and down and up. And you just have to tell them it's okay. It's okay. Right now you feel bad. You'll feel better at some point. Right now you feel good. You'll feel worse some point. It's okay. It's okay. He's also sampling Kanye. Kanye has a song where he directly says it's okay not to be okay. Next song, I Am Slowly But Surely Losing Hope, is almost a punk song in its sound. It's so upbeat. These great whiny sounds in the back. Again, the third listen. So I was, so I have a newborn. Not only do I have teenagers, but I have a newborn, and I just want to thank the Swedish people for inventing the baby Bjorn. So I have my baby, and oh yeah, there's a map of Sweden, by the way, in the background. If you see that, that's I stole that from a Swedish ferry. in between Helsingborg and Helsingor. Anyways, so I'm sitting there and I'm like I'm making I was making toast for my family. We do toast tastings on Saturday morning, and I'm sitting there and I'm dancing around and this music's actually very good for babies as well because it has that feeling. Again, I compared this music to Teletubbies with that warm, shining, ethereal nature. It really does have that. So I'm just dancing around the kitchen, dancing around the living room, listening to this. Just one breath is bliss for me. Please, my death come slowly. Please may death come slowly. A lot of rappers are in a death cult. It's really true. There's a huge thing that's happening right now in hip hop where rappers are obsessed with death. I'm talking to the parents again. It's nice that some people are actually holding on to life. And that's nothing new, by the way. The death cult in hip hop has been around forever, for a super long time. My favorite rap album of the 90s starts with someone in the middle of committing suicide. And then a little quiet bit, Angels Sing For Me, more of the mysticism. Icarus 3 style is the next song. He does a little bit of math for us in the beginning. He says 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9. I haven't done the math. I don't know if that's right. Tell me in the comments if it is. Kind of a trap beat, kind of beeps. Maybe the cheesiest English on here. Cinderella Only for One Night. That shoe was really fitting. He could be such a goofball. Bladee is a goofball. That's why I call him Bladee, because he's also a goofball. But what I really like here is, because he has such a devoted fan base, who see him as a semi-messianic figure. I really like here, I try to tell him we're not special, but still they idolize us. You might catch me in the grocery store or riding the bus. I'll start to blush. I like that. I like that. The thing that he's just a person, and even though you idolize him, he's not really that way. There's this awesome, whining siren sound in the back that keeps going up. Next song is called Nothing, featuring Wandha Mountain. Very weird sounds. Apparently he's singing in Mongolian. Apparently there is a Mongolian population in Sweden. I didn't know. Another thing I'll say about the Drain Gang is they really do emphasize the nature of Sweden as not just what you think of when you think of Sweden. Talking about hearing the night and going out into the night. There's almost like a sound of a silencer, like a gun silencer, which I didn't like. It feels a little bit too discordant because I really don't associate this music with violence. I associate this music with gentleness. Really great movement. Really great moment where he says the lyric, I can turn something into nothing at all. That's just a great lyric. Blue Crush Angel. Great minimal soundscape, drumless little taps in the background. And then there's some of my favorite lyrics here. To be the law, you break the law. I saw a rainbow in the dark. I put a symbol in a song. I put a window in the wall. To the statues in my mind, stand forever. To the statues in my mind, stand forever. I saw a rainbow in the dark. This is... I made fun of this guy for the Cinderella line, okay? And I will make fun of Bladee sometimes for being goofy. But these lyrics are significantly better than those bad lyrics I was talking about. A rainbow in the dark is a great image, especially for the kind of mystical world that he is putting out for us. The image of a rainbow in the dark, and then the statues in my mind stand forever. It's really gorgeous. It's really evocative. Next song is called Disaster Prelude, featuring Echo 2K, who did that last album that I reviewed. I gotta show you something. Sorry, I forgot about this. I meant to get this out. Jeez. But hey, if I talk to your parents, I gotta talk to you as well. Because I gotta show you this book. It's the heaviest book I own. So this whole song starts off with the lyric, everything is toxic and that's what makes it hip. Which is cool. But then he starts talking and he starts quoting Dante. He starts quoting Dante and he starts talking about Beatrice, who served as Dante's muse. So this is one of the most important things you can read. You know, if you've never read Dante's Inferno, you should really check it out. It's got some great imagery in it. Do you know why? Do you know why Bladee knows Dante's Inferno and you don't? It's because Swedish public school systems are 1,000 times better than American public school systems. When they graduate from public school, they have an education that is probably better than most college-educated Americans. That doesn't mean Swedish people are smarter, but it does mean that their public education system is better and their social services are better because they pay way more taxes. I have rich Swedish friends who love Sweden, but the taxes are really rough. But they get a lot for those taxes. And one of those things is an amazingly educated populace. So, I'm just kind of like looking through. This is my version of, look at some of those great images, right? Isn't that beautiful? This is illustrated by Gustave Doré in the 19th century. My dad gave me this copy because it's all in French. So anyways, Dante's Beatrice, everything is toxic. That's what makes it hit. I'm trying to flee, but I see you when you sleep. So what's cool is that he's really extending the sense. Oh, great. So Beatrice, here, we actually have a picture of Beatrice on page 8 here. Who is Virgil's, there she is, Virgil's muse. Okay, so that's what I want you to picture. When you picture Beatrice in this song, I want you to picture Gustave Doré's image of Beatrice inspiring Virgil, inspiring Dante. Okay? All right? That's cool, right? Isn't it cool to have that? I got another version of it here by a more modern artist, which is, pretty cool. Now there's her version of Beatrice, over there. But it's cool. It's cool, and it's a reminder to you, if you are a member of the Drain Gang, and you want to be like your cool hero, do some more literature. If you never read the Odyssey, he talks a lot about the Odyssey. You never read Dante's Inferno, read Dante's Inferno. It's all free online. It's going to really help you contextualize so many things in your life, and you will hopefully be as smart as what's his real name? Benjamin Reichwald. Next song is... Wait, I was quoting the wrong thing. I'm sorry. Dante's Beatrice. Everything is toxic. That's what makes it hit. Believe in a myth. Beatrice lives. Exit through the skin. And then we have Echo 2K singing Super Up High. Next song is called Ha Ha Ha. It's funny because I thought he was saying oh Chris, but he's saying I'm crazy. Very upbeat about being messed up. One of my favorite lines is I've got a mask on my mask and it's messing up my life. Next song is called Drain Story, which I guess is the single off the album, which is kind of glitchy. I like the simplicity of the beat, the kind of trancey keyboards in the back. It's funny because he rhymes the word up 4 bars in a row. So you're like, come on, bro. But he is actually, the word before up is also rhymed, so it counts. Like messed up, throw your crest up. He does have a lot of symbolism, which is fun. I like the chaos of the production. Actually, my favorite production moment on the entire album is this weird little, like, twisted sound in the back. Like, I can't describe it for you, but if you know the song, you know that little weird twisted sound that comes on there. I really like it. I really like White Armor's production. Next song is called Velociraptor. And I just don't have anything. I don't know why. I didn't write anything about this. I just wrote energy is a wave you can ride on, which I assume is a lyric from the song. I don't know why I didn't write about that song. I think I liked it, but I don't have anything to say about it. Then we get to the Stamp, Dresden ER. Then She's Always Dancing, a sweet kind of love song. Again, more twisted sounds. He's describing her eyes. The closest thing to cheesy, I would say, is this song, this kind of fake islandish reggae rhythm. But then it's nice, though, because you get the sense he's really enchanted by this woman. Although there's this weird thing where some British guy screams, "You stupid F," which is funny. And then we get Uriel outro. Synthesizer wash, a little bit of like electronic feedback. By that I mean like, it used to be back in the day, your parents know about this. It used to be back in the day, if you were getting a phone call while listening to music, there would be this weird that you'd hear in the music. Is that kind of feedback. And this is a really religious sounding lullaby. I was with my daughter. not my teenage daughter, my baby daughter, and I'm sitting there and I'm listening to this song, and it's a lullaby. Uriel, somber life is amplified. Uriel, shining from the other side. Uriel, simplify. You know, it's just this beautiful, nice outro that gives you this sort of sense of freedom and lightness. So there's my review of Bladee Spiderr. I can't help it. These are my Patreons. Yo, I got like 7 Patreons yesterday. I guess because I made a video about Fantano, and I guess people wanted to see that video, and I put it behind the paywall. I wasn't trying to be like an evil genius, but like that totally worked. But I have like 30 videos that are like only on Patreon, all sorts of random stuff. So thanks to all these people. Special thanks to Samir there. He wanted a special shout out on this video. So there you go. You got it. I often ask if you want special shout outs, and I'll give them to you. I'm doing this like the new high def thing. So just, really make sure you see yourself on there. Thanks to these and these guys for the monies. Okay. Is that backwards? Or does it just look backwards to me? Jesus, I'm old. All right. Until next time, go make your parents some coffee. There's the camera.